We all have those stories from our childhood, don't we? Those whispered tales that traveled from friend to friend, filling the dark corners of our world with something ancient and terrifying. Mine came one humid evening when my older cousin came home from her first term in boarding school. She sat me down, and in that low conspiratory voice older kids use when they know you'll never sleep again, he told me about the legend of Madame Moke. She even threw in another tale, one about a girl who takes off her own head just to braid her hair at night. Oh, I have goosebumps just remembering those stories. I was hooked and terrified. Today, as Halloween approaches, I'm here to also tell you that tale. Spread the terror. Share the fright. Now, for generations of those who went to Nigerian boarding schools in the 90s and early 2000s, that story had a name. But it wasn't really a name at all. It was a sound. Boy, 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 boy. Before the legend, before the fear, it was just a young woman who had finished her teacher training. She was beautiful, stylish, and had a flair for colorful clothing that made her stand out in the grey halls of the school. She was Teacher Bay long before it became a thing. And her signature was a particular pair of red high heels. Poi, 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 poi. It echoed wherever she went. It was a sound that announced her presence, a sound of pride, until it became something else entirely, something wicked. The most popular stories in Nigeria tell us that beneath that fashionable exterior was a heart of pure cruelty. She was a sadist, a teacher who would beat and flog her students for no reason at all other than just the pure pleasure of it. One day, her cruelty went too far. She was fired after she slapped a girl and injured her ear. Filled with rage and bitterness, she left the school for the very last time. But she never made it home. She died in a car crash on that very road between school. With her dying breath, she swore a terrible vengeance on the school and every student within its walls. Since then, her ghost has been seen, or more often heard, haunting the hallways, the dormitories, bathrooms after dark. That poi, 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 poi of her heels echoes in the night, a chilling promise being fulfilled. They say she opens doors, whistles, and even slaps students who dare to get out of bed after lights out. Even in some versions, she's invisible, with only the eerie click of her single red heel to announce her approach. But there is an even darker version of her story. This version is whispered when you truly wanted to scare someone from bad behavior. In this version, the students had finally had enough. The school wouldn't stop her, so they decided to take matters into their own hands. They ambushed her one night as she was leaving, and in a terrifying act of mob violence, they beat her to death. Some say they used one of her own red heels to deliver the final blow. And of course, her spirit returned, not as a woman, but as a phantom. And anyone who looks at her face will simply This legend, interestingly, isn't just confined to Nigeria. Across the border over here in Ghana, we have a similar tale, but it is one of sorrow rather than vengeance. Here, she is known as Madame Moke or Madame High Heel, a name that also references her famous or rather infamous footwear. But her story here is a bit different. They say she was a teacher who was fond of chasing his stubborn students. One day, while chasing his students across the street, he was hit and killed by a car. One of her heels blew off, never to be seen again. After that, her ghost roams the schools, not to torment students for revenge, but to cry for what she lost. In our version, she isn't a malevolent sadist, but a tragic figure, eternally searching for her missing shoe, forever incomplete. Whether she is a vengeful sadist or a mournful spirit, the legend of Madame Koi Koi or Madame Moke has stood the test of time. Her story still echoes in secondary schools all over the country. She is used to instill fear in new students by both teachers and senior students alike. You may believe she's just a legend born from imagination, or that she's actually real, because many have sworn to have encountered her. Whatever you believe, just to be on the safer side, do not go out of your dormitory at night. At least you receive a slap from an unseen force. The next time you hear an unexplained sound in an empty hallway, a sound like a distant cricket, remember to stay very, very. Don't say I didn't.